Poor Things, Yorgos Lanthimos' 2023 Best Picture nominated film starring Emma Stone, is a movie that does a lot of things well. It has great performances from strong actors, a unique visual style, and is an interesting and fresh take on the story of Frankenstein. But if there's one thing that Poor Things excels at, it's in its use of setting. Every location in the film, every scene is used in a deliberate way to bring life to main character Bella's journey in the story from captivity to freedom. But how? What does it do that makes it so special? How does it use its setting to elevate its storytelling? To find out, let's pack our bags, pull on our boots, and explore the settings of Poor Things. Setting, in storytelling terms, is defined as the place or type of surroundings where an event takes place. The great storytelling guru, Robert McKee, added to this. There is no such thing, he said, as a portable story. An honest story is at home in one and only one place and time. What McKee means by this is that a retelling of Frankenstein would be different in modern LA versus a potato farm in 17th century Ireland. For the setting of Poor Things, Yorgos Lanthimos chose an alternate universe Victorian London, as well as Lisbon, Paris and Alexandria. There's an almost magical sense to this fabricated past, and it allows Lanthimos to explore one of the first techniques for incorporating setting into storytelling, and that is visual metaphors. Let's take a look at how Poor Things uses its visual metaphors so well. At the start of the film, Bella lives with Godwin, her father/creator.
Created a perfectly entertaining and safe world for Bella.
But her home is more a prison or a laboratory than a place of refuge.
She's an experiment, and I must control the conditions or our results will not be pure.
The setting we see matches this. Many of the rooms at Godwin's house are circular, the same as the actual prison we see Mark Ruffalo's Duncan Wedderburn love interest character in later in the film. The garden is surrounded by high, inescapable walls like the courtyard of a prison. The house is secluded, away from the bustling city, which is presented as smoggy, unpleasant, grey. Even the oversized furniture resembles prison bars when seen from certain angles. When Bella finally manages to convince Godwin and the man he's hired to watch her, Max McCandles, to take her out of the house, it is inside another prison, a small cramped carriage with the curtains closed.
You hold Bella too tight,
she says to Godwin when Duncan Wedderburn has bowled into her life and at last convinced her to leave. Everything we have seen of the setting of her home, its visual metaphors, backs this up. Colour. Swiss psychoanalyst Carl Jung once wrote that colours are the mother tongue of the subconscious. What he meant is that colours can communicate our feelings, represent our thoughts. Careful and clever use of colour in setting is another technique Yorgos Lanthimos uses to add weight to Poor Things' storytelling. We see it throughout the film, right from the start with the deep blue backdrop of Bella's mother's suicide matching her blue mood, to the black and white prison Bella finds herself in for the first half an hour of the film, matching the dullness of her world.
You're a prisoner, but I aim to free you.
We see it in the sudden burst into colour too as Bella escapes her captivity and arrives with Duncan Wedderburn in bustling Lisbon. And we see a fantastic example towards the end of the film when Bella finds herself at the home of her mother's former husband, a dangerous man whose threat is signalled by his property's blood-slick carpets and floors. The team behind Poor Things could have achieved these same moods with acting, dialogue, music, but adding well-chosen colours goes beyond that, into our subconscious, really bringing Bella's plight home. Some very successful films over the years have weaved colour into their stories. Hero, La La Land, The Shining, The Wizard of Oz. Poor Things earns its place on that list. Weather. Allied with colour in Poor Things is the film's use of weather to breathe life into the settings of its story. A technique as old as the sun itself, it's known in storytelling terms as pathetic fallacy, or the attribution of human emotion to things found in nature. An obvious example audiences have seen throughout cinema history is the use of storms to hint at emotional turmoil, but Poor Things goes beyond this. When Bella sneaks onto the roof of Godwin's house for the first time early in the film, the sky is ominous looking, dangerous, reflecting her fear at being outside her comfort zone. On the boat with Duncan Wedderburn later on, anger and violence comes as Wedderburn threatens to throw Bella's elderly friend off the ship. The sunset is blood red, marking the danger. As they approach Alexandria, where Bella finds starvation, misery and death, a huge roiling cloud looms up over the city like a waiting monster. In France, Bella says,
I've heard great things of the beauty of Paris.
And yet snow falls around her and the city is grey and white, reflecting the low point Bella has come to in her journey, penniless and forlorn. The snow only stops when Bella takes control of her life and leaves Duncan Wedderburn behind. Yorgos Lanthimos, like the painter J.M.W. Turner, uses weather in his films to alter the mood of his scenes. Symbolism. If metaphors, colour and weather were all Poor Things did with its settings to emphasise the themes in its story, it would already have gone beyond most movies. But where Poor Things really gets creative is in its symbolism. A symbol is defined as a thing that represents or stands for something else. In settings terms, this often takes the shape of objects in scenes that call back to or foreshadow future events in the story. When Max McCandles finds Godwin's notes on how he created Bella, they're locked in a dark room, tucked away on top of a cabinet, hinting that Godwin knows what he did was wrong. A learned man, Godwin's study windows take the shape of books, telling us where his real priorities lie. When Bella makes her decision to leave London with Duncan Wedderburn, fireworks explode in the background, symbolising the excitement she's feeling. In Lisbon, despite her newfound freedom, we get a reminder of the life of imprisonment she's escaped as she gazes at fishers in a tank in the town square. Lanthimos plays on this fish tank symbol, in fact resurfacing it when Wedderburn kidnaps Bella and takes her on the ship. At times the craft resembles an aquarium, with its blues and shimmering whites and fish scales. Even Bella's dress looks a little like a mermaid's tail.
We are all on a ship and cannot escape.
I could go on. There are dozens and dozens of these motifs scattered throughout Poor Things, always working on our subconscious, emphasising the story's themes of captivity and freedom. Emma Stone, lead actress, said of Poor Things,
The production design is an incredibly important part of the story, and what the production design leads have created is something unlike anything that's ever existed before that I've seen.
In his book, Writing for Emotional Impact, story guru Carl Iglesias wrote, "Successful story writers always ask themselves, how can I make this story unique, imaginative and exciting? There are only so many plots in storytelling, so it's hard to stand out there. Characters generally come in archetypes, so while you can fiddle at the edges, there's only so much room to experiment. But setting, as Emma Stone suggests, can be fresh every time. A new setting, well presented, can transport an audience, take them somewhere they've not been before. The only limit, a screenwriter's imagination." Hey everybody, thanks so much for watching the video. I hope you got something out of it. I watched Poor Things last year when it first came out. It's a really interesting film that does a lot of interesting things. And I'm happy to be able to make a video on it now. There will be a lot more of these videos coming up. If you enjoyed what you've seen here, then please do what you need to do. Join the channel and I will see you next time.